Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. My name's Chad. Take a dive on sports. And welcome to the Chat Sports Talk NFL 2022 preview video. We're going to discuss all the teams who I think will make the playoffs and my prediction for the Super Bowl. Now, last year I did predict Kansas City over Green Bay, and neither one of them made it, so we'll see how this one kind of goes, shall we? But before I dive into all that one, if you could, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, especially the content provides you. Really please your YouTube gods up to promote this channel. You also subscribe. I'll check my analytics. I love you guys review my work, and I love you all for doing that. Not many of you subscribe. That's cost you a dime. It helps me provide more entertainment value for you. Now I'm going to start off in the AFC, which AFC is just loaded. If you look, pretty much every single team has a quality quarterback or at least a very good starter. It's just a murderer's row basically in the AFC and try to figure out who's going to come out top. And we're going to start out East, and my pick to win the AFC East is, I think, a no-brainer. It's the Buffalo Bills. The Bills is just a loaded offensive juggernaut. Even though their key offensive coordinator did leave, but the new one's in place. Josh Allen is given more control of the offense, able to make plays, change the plays up. The addition of Von Miller on defense should help them in preventing the shootouts that they like to get into, especially that playoff game against Kansas City. So we'll just kind of see how this one kind of plays out. But I think Josh Allen's going to have another phenomenal year. I think he's going to have an MVP year. I think it's his turn to be named the MVP, other than Rodgers and Brady. And there's going to be a stiff competition for the MVP. I tell you that much. But I think it's going to be too much Buffalo in this one. I actually have them going 13-4 and the number one seed. So we'll just kind of see how that one plays out. My number two team is one's definitely on the rise. That's Miami Dolphins. Because they get a new offensive-minded coach and Mike McDaniel from San Francisco. They also traded to get Tyreek Hill, give Tua Tagovailoa another quality receiver. The defense is actually pretty good themselves. So I think Miami's actually heading in the right direction. I don't think they're playoff material this year, but they definitely will make some noise and probably scare some people. And they'd be sniffing that last position prior till the very end of the season, which I think they'll kind of run out of steam because they got a couple of big games. You know, that game against Green Bay and Buffalo and the Chargers and the 49ers toward the end of the season is going to be a testament on how they're going to prevail and might even get in. And I don't see them win like one of those games anyways. And I have them going 8-9 and just missing the playoffs. Number three, you're going to have New England. It's Bill Belichick. I hate to bet against this guy. But he has no offensive coordinator. He doesn't plan to announce one. He has a bunch of defensive-minded guys, special teams guys. You know, two of his former assistants are back with him now. They used to be head coaches. It's Mac Jones' second year, so I think he's going to have a little bit of a sophomore slump. And the Patriots are going to struggle this year. I know some people have them a little bit higher, have them higher to Miami. I don't think they'll be them close to Miami. They will definitely get some key wins they shouldn't get, so be mindful of that one. But yeah, I got them going 6-11. And then, of course, last but not least is the Jets. Zach Wilson's just injury prone right now. Every time he seems to play, his knees get tweaked. So I think once again the Jets have found themselves a great quarterback coming out of college, but as soon as he gets to the pros, something happens. Same thing happened with Sam Darnold. I think same happens going to Zach Wilson. And we'll just kind of, I just don't see them really doing much. I think they're trying to get in the pieces right and trying to move forward, but this year's definitely another one's going to be out. And I got them going 6-11. All right, next off, I'm going to go with the AFC North. And this one's going to be, I think, a three-team race. And no, Cleveland's not in that consideration. But I think, for me, I got Pittsburgh edging out Baltimore for the divisional crown, but both making the playoffs. Now, the reason why I got Pittsburgh so high is because of the defense they have in place. J.J. Watt is a wrecking crew on the line. Unfortunately, he's starting to get a little injury prone now too. And then the quarterback situation. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky does have the ability to be a great quarterback. He has proven that in 1 year in Chicago, and then Nagy just gave up on him. He took that year in Buffalo to kind of, decompress himself, regather himself, and came back in Pittsburgh and retooled. But he has Kenny Pickett hot on his tail. Kenny Pickett was part of the most NFL-ready quarterback that got drafted last year. That's why Pittsburgh jumped up to get him. And I have a feeling Kenny Pickett might find himself getting into the season rotation. And at least halfway through the season, I can see him getting put in as a starter and taking over. But regardless of which quarterback there is, I think there's enough talent with this team. I think Pittsburgh will be able to at least get 10 wins. I think it'll be that close between everyone there to get there. And Baltimore, I got in the same position, winning 10 games. Lamar Jackson is fighting for his future. He has still not gotten an extension from the Ravens. He's looking for Deshaun Watson money, and he is more worth it than Deshaun Watson. I mean, Lamar Jackson has an MVP under his belt. What does Deshaun have? Russell Wilson got paid recently. So the reason why, I don't know why they're not cutting a check for him already, giving him his money. Because if they keep this up, they're going to lose him next season, and somebody's going to pay him a lot of money to go play, maybe Seattle. So, you got think of it that way. And then, but there's still enough talent on that defense to keep them in games. The offense may take a step back a bit, losing Hollywood Brown, not really having to run the attack besides Lamar. And we see what happens when Lamar is the focal point offense. It wears on you. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete. No, there's no question about that. But he can't be the focal point of the offense. He has to have, 1, 2, maybe 3 additional pieces where he can trust to make plays if he throws in the ball or he hands in the ball and they can run. But I think there's enough there for them to get at least 10 wins and get into the playoffs. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, as much as these guys was a surprise last year about how much talent and gusto that Burrow provided, and just the talent that's just, there. They're going to have a letdown this year. Nothing against them at all, and they're going to definitely be battling towards the end, and that's going to be one of the things that kind of hampers them a little bit, because they do have some key victories at the end of the season with Tampa Bay, trip to Foxborough, hosting Buffalo, and hosting Baltimore at the last game of the season. I think that stretch of games, then the previous up there, the game against Cleveland, Kansas City, at Tennessee, hosting at Pittsburgh. So that last part of that season, I think is where they're going to define the Bengals season. And they could prove me wrong and win a couple more games out there than I think they're going to do. But I think they're going to finish 9-8 and just miss out on the playoffs. But nothing against the Bengals. This is just a loaded division. Somebody's got to come in third. And this year I got it as the Cincinnati Bengals. Bringing up the pack of this division is the Cleveland Browns. They lost their damn minds. They played Deshaun Watson way too much money when they traded for him. They coughed up way too much for him, especially with all of his off-the-field issues. Regardless when you take of what he did off the field, It's still a distraction because guess what? He is now gone for 11 games of the season. Should have been the full season, but somehow they got to 11 games. He still proclaims he's innocent in the whole thing, but if you're innocent, you don't pay him off. That's just my opinion. I mean, I won't actually say pay him off, but settle civil suits. But when you're dealing with civil suits, it's up to the individual being sued to show that they're innocent. So it's a little bit different than criminal actions, criminal cases where you're innocent to proven guilty. In civil cases, you're guilty until you're proven innocent, virtually. And of course, we all know the court of public opinion pretty much split down the middle-ish. Because Calvin really got suspended for an entire season for gambling, for games he wasn't even part of because he was out. But that's the NFL policy. That's their standard. But when it comes to stuff Deshaun Watson did, or Ray Rice, or you probably name a couple other stars in there, NFL seems to look the other way when it comes to that one. So they need to start to put forth a better option, or not a better option, but a more stringent stance on that. And Deshaun Watson has to be the first one out there, so he gets 11 games at the full year. And they had to move away from Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a decent quarterback. I think he would have been a great quarterback for them if things went the right direction, if he got protected a little bit better, and he didn't get injured so much. So there's nothing against him. They definitely got the running back situation. They get pretty good on defense, but it's just Jacoby Brissett is not going to get your team to a good position offensively. And I think I have him losing quite a few games early in the season that really gets him out of the race. And by the time Deshaun gets back in time for his game in Houston, which should be hilarious to watch this one, probably attend this one, just to see the comments coming from the Texans fans to him in city of Houston. And not to mention the first game of the season where they got to go to Charlotte and take on their former quarterback and see what happens when Baker Mayfield takes on his former team. So there's a couple of key games that should provide some great memes and great commentary, but it's just too much for Cleveland to overcome, and I think they're going to end up finishing 5-12. It's not going to be a good season for Cleveland. But we'll see how things kind of progress from there. Now we head south, and we go up to Indianapolis, which is not in the south, but we don't know about geography. And Matt Ryan is now in a new home. He has taken over from the inept Carson Wentz experiment in Indy. He brings his very good arm and very good pedigree that he has that's borderline Hall of Fame. He doesn't have the championship. He does have the probably one of the greatest chokes in Super Bowl history. But this is a loaded Colts team. The defense is phenomenal. They got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield for him. I mean, this is just a phenomenal a team all around, and they should really make some noise. And I got them winning 12 games this year, missing out on the number one seed. This team's going to make some people upset, and definitely make some noise during the season. And then next is the Tennessee Titans. They're going to be nipping at their heels throughout the season. Vrabel's got a very good team together. Tannehill is a decent quarterback, but Sir Henry, just stiff arming, running over people will be the highlight. But I think it's going to be just a struggle. If Tannehill makes too many mistakes, I think Malik Willis may make an appearance. So You got those type of aspects going on there, and I think they're missing a little bit in the receiving core slightly. So it's going to cost them a bit. To have a win in 10 games and missing the playoffs. How was you win 10 games and still not make the playoffs with 7 teams going? Let you know how deep this conference is. Next up, I will go with Jacksonville. Doug Peterson is a phenomenal coach, especially young quarterbacks. I mean, look what he did with Carson Wentz in Philly. I think he'll do the same thing with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. They're starting to put some pieces together, some key pieces, offensive, defense, and working around the youth and building around them to lead them forward. This is not the year they're going to make the playoffs either. We'll see a significant improvement. I really think that Trevor Lawrence will step up and provide some noise later on. And I got him actually winning 7 games this year. Actually, I got him winning more games than New England. That may come to haunt me later, but hey. And then we head to H-Town, and it's the Texans. This organization's been run into the ground, and they've I don't know. Just something just not right in Houston with that organization, that they were just trading away players, just let them go. Having Davis Mills as the quarterback. I think he's probably a healthier option than Zach Wilson. Mac Jones is definitely better than he is, and he's nowhere on Deshaun Watson's level. So, but I do have him surprising a few teams and winning 4 games, and in the running for the number 1 draft pick. There's a couple other teams on their side, on the other conference. I'll definitely be right there with them. But yeah, not gonna be a good year in Houston. So, just unfortunate. And West, this is probably the most loaded division in all of football this year. Each team has a phenomenal quarterback. You know, Russell Wilson in Denver, Justin Herbert in L.A. There's this guy called Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. You might have heard of him. Derek Carr is no slouch in Vegas either. Each one of them has their own unique attributes on offense and defense. Maybe not Kansas City as much. And it's really hard to really kind of pinpoint this. I really want to go with Mahomes because he's a proven commodity. I really want, jump on the Herbert bandwagon again because I really thought they were going to make the playoffs last year, make a decent run, and that just kind of fizzled. I want to go to Vegas and give them some love, and then look at Denver and what they have in place. I mean, this is just a loaded division, and really kind of see who's going to be in there. And I think it's going to be like 3 games separating the first and the 4th team. I mean, I think this is going to be how close this division is going to be. But my winner for the West is the Denver Broncos. They have the talent on offense. They have a very good defense. And Denver always seems to be a home of resurrecting NFL careers. Peyton Manning did it, and he took the Broncos to 2 Super Bowls, winning one of them. Russell's going to look to try to get back to the Super Bowl, win his 2nd one. He's not going to do it this year, but he's definitely going to make the playoffs and give Denver a lot of hope. There's a lot of things in there. Russell going to Denver has actually revitalized him. He has a different step to him. He's more mentally and spiritually in tune with what's going on, and he loves what's going on in Denver, and he's invested, and he's back to loving the game again. So he's going to definitely be a wrecking ball in the West, but I only got him winning 11 games, barely squeaking out the division crown, but there's just one of these things that I think that will spark Denver and make it a nice run. And then for 2nd and 3rd, it's 2 teams, both going 10-7. Things are going to actually happen this way. But one that got finished in 2nd is Kansas City. You just can't count on Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Those two together is just magic. And just watching him perform in the field is just phenomenal. Last year he didn't seem himself. He still created some phenomenal games. I mean, you look at the playoff win against Buffalo, look at his game against Cincinnati, when falling at the end. But this team's been in the AFC Championship game now for 4 straight years, making the 2 Super Bowls, winning 1. So it's just something about the marriage of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But losing Tyreek Hill will hamper Kansas City's offense, and their defense is still susceptible. So that's why I have them going 10-7. And then right there with them is the Chargers. It's just every time I try to give Herbert some love and some attention, it doesn't seem to really translate well in that aspect. And they had the talent on the offense to get there. The defense got some key things. Khalil Mack is trying to resurrect his career in L.A. His time in Chicago presented one good season, but injuries kind of limited his action for the next 3 years. So he's going back out to the AFC to face the Raiders twice a year. But they'll go 10-7, make the playoffs. And then last but not least is Vegas. And things are just going the right direction. I mean, they had the phenomenal run last year where they were able to get into the playoffs. Having Josh McDaniels there, the offensive mind in New England, bringing in Devontae Adams, David Carr's my receiver teammate from Fresno State, now on the same team together with the offensive mind of Josh McDaniels. So have Max Crosby on the defense that has hampered all those teams. So there's definitely going to be a lot of close matchups. Fortunately, there's going to be a few games that Vegas will kind of fall behind, and I think they're almost there. I think they might up one or two more pieces, and this team should be a wrecking crew. But I got them going 8-9, finishing last, and they loaded AFC West. This year, I'm not picking the entire division to make it, and I did it last year with NFC West. And they were the toughest division last year. This year, actually, AFC West is the toughest division, and I'm going to go with 3. So going over the playoff scenarios for the AFC, like I said, Buffalo's #1 team, so they'll get the first round bye. And you look at the matchups, the Colts will host the Chargers. The Chargers surprise Indy in their magical run right away. Nothing against Matt Ryan and that team, but, someone's got to win. And Denver holding off Kansas City. That'll be an interesting one. I can see that one go either way. And then Baltimore going to Pittsburgh and knocking off the Steelers. No question about that. I think Lamar Jackson, if he gets in the playoffs, he's just going to go off. With the in the divisionals, with Buffalo and Denver hosting and winning both their matchups for their showdown, and Buffalo head into the Super Bowl. Well, this is going to be it for this portion of my preview. I've sitting here and talked a lot just about the AFC themselves. I won't spend too much time going over the preview, so I can make this a 2-parter. So the second part, which will be released shortly after this one is actually out, we'll cover NFC and the Super Bowl, and possibly some other, who's going to be who's going to have the first round pick, and who's my MVP candidates. Even though I already mentioned Josh Allen, but who else do I think is going to be in there? So stay tuned to that one, and just let me know down below what you think so far of this, my predictions and my way off a lot of these teams. Who you think is going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl? Leave the comments down below. Please note that I will have the second video here coming out very shortly, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.